Aloha, guys, and welcome to day one of the New Year's Health and Fitness Challenge. I'm going to share with you guys the information I've been learning. This particular day is going to be about fruits and veggies, and the information, I got this all from Dr. Mark Hyman's book. It's called What the Heck Should We Eat? If you want to reference that book, it goes much deeper than this cursory overview that I'm going to share with you guys. So if you want to dive deeper into it, I highly suggest that book. So I've got my notes right here. Let's talk about fruits and veggies. Eat your fruits and veggies. Your parents have told you that since you were a kid, but that does not mean that there's equal weight associated to fruits and veggies. Really, you need to eat your veggies, and Dr. Hyman, he suggests 50 to 75% of every meal should be vegetables. And fruit, you should consume. It's great for you. There's a lot of antioxidants, there's fiber, vitamins, minerals in fruit, so it is healthy for you, but you definitely have to moderate the intake of that food much more so than veggies, which you can consume pretty much without any upper limit on how much you can eat, most of the veggies. So let me pull up my notes here. The veggies we're gonna cover first. Here's the first one, fiber. So plant foods are the only source of fiber we have, and that would include wheat and other grains and stuff too. But vegetables like leafy greens, the cruciferous veggies like kale, cauliflower, broccoli, those all have fiber, and fiber is food for the healthy gut bacteria. There's some new emerging science about the gut being your second brain and really controlling a lot of functions that we weren't even aware of, like your mood could be based off of these bacteria and what you're feeding them. So really important stuff. You need fiber, and our current American diet, we're getting about 1/10 the fiber that our hunter-gatherer ancestors got. So most people are deficient in fiber. We need to put more veggies into our diet, more fruit as well. All right, number two, as I said, 50 to 70%, 75% of every meal should be veggies. Veggies are also very rich in what are called phytonutrients. These are very necessary chemicals for vibrant health. It's anti-cancer, anti-inflammation, anti-infection, all that good stuff. So we need veggies. We need lots of various types of veggies, which is my next point. Eat the rainbow. That's the most simple way to say it. So get those red bell peppers, those red tomatoes, that deep green kale, all that good stuff, all those different colors, the yellows, the oranges. Get it all in there so that you're getting the variety of nutrients from these plants. That's important as well. All right, 5 most common veggies consumed by Americans. Number 1, it's called the Idaho potato, and it's normally consumed as French fries, which is deep fried in toxic oils. We pretty much want to stay away from that. Number 2 is the tomato, often consumed as ketchup or as marinara sauce, and both of those are loaded with sugars, and they're no longer healthy once they've gone through all those processes. Sweet corn, so a starchy veggie, so it kind of spikes blood sugar. It's also industrialized, so it's sprayed with tons of harsh chemicals, not very nutritious anymore due to modern farming practices, and it is commonly allergenic, so you want to stay away from that one. Onions, those are actually pretty good. That's number 4. And number 5, iceberg lettuce. You know, just one intuitive glance at it and you can tell there's not much happening with iceberg lettuce. So those top 5, those are the veggies that we most consume as Americans, and they are among the least nutritious for us. So stay away from those. All right, next, organic versus inorganic. Does it really matter? Hell yes, it does matter. Let's just take a look at the big one right here, pesticides. You know, I've known for a long time pesticides aren't good for you, but I always opted for, or back in the day, I opted for the conventionally grown produce because I'm like, I don't have enough money for this organic stuff. But now that I have gone through the research and see how dangerous a lot of these chemicals are, well, number 1, glyphosate is one of the most commonly used pesticides, or it's actually an herbicide, and it's sprayed on everything. Any industrialized food that's non-organic has glyphosate in it. Glyphosate destroys your gut bacteria, and it has a number of other side effects. Let me name a few of them. They did some studies on agricultural workers and found that there is an increase in various types of cancer that arose from the people who are picking the fruit that has been sprayed with tons of pesticides. So it's actually a very dangerous profession to do that. Also, they suffered from respiratory issues and depression. So they had a marked increase in those ailments. So there's something up there, you want to stay away. The World Health Organization, they said this: glyphosate is probably carcinogenic to humans. And Monsanto, they say it's not carcinogenic to humans. So I dug up some other studies, and rats were getting tumors from this glyphosate, so stay away from that stuff. And this other third-party organization, they release a list every year called the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen. So the Clean 15 are the conventionally grown produce that are shown to have low levels of herbicides, pesticides on them. So here's the only relevant one. The avocado is number one. Because of that hard exterior, not many of the pesticides actually get into the meat of that fruit and affect your health. Also, I know they don't sell organic avos at Costco, so you're fine getting the conventionally grown avos. You can take a look at that list. I'll put it down in the description, but that's kind of the only relevant one of the Clean 15. Now the Dirty Dozen, some of these will probably scare you. Strawberries are number one for the dirtiest. That means they detected the most pesticide residue on those strawberries from various markets around the country. Number two, spinach. Number three is kale. And this isn't a natural fruit, it's the raisin, it's been processed, but that is actually shows the highest level of toxic pesticides. And it's also a food that's commonly provided to children. So do not let your kids have raisins. Even organic raisins have been shown to still have some of this pesticide residue. So you want to stay away from that stuff. All right, number six, don't overcook your veggies. Let's take it to an extreme, for example. I know this is meat, but imagine you threw a burger on the grill and you grilled it into this charcoal husk. There's not much nutritional value left in that. So I know that's an extreme scenario, but you can see how the chemistry of the food changes the longer you cook it. And that's the same with veggies. Essentially, the longer you cook it, the more the nutritional value starts to decrease. Raw veggies, I'd say, are the best, and you're preserving that nutritional value by eating it raw. But not many people want to eat raw broccoli because that's gross. So you cook it a little bit to make it palatable. Even though some of the nutritional value is lost, at least you're eating some as opposed to none. So that's the thing with cooking your veggies. Don't overcook it into oblivion. And there's actually a few methods of cooking that you should be aware of that I didn't know about at first. Steaming is best for no more than 4 minutes because you don't want to overcook it once again. So steaming is best. I don't actually personally steam it. I saute mine in a pan, and that's fine too. Also good is roasting. So putting it in a pan and oven cooking it is fine. What you do not want to do is boil it. When you boil it, most of the nutrients you cook out into the water, and then you dump that water out and you're left with not the best stuff anymore. No nuking it in the microwave. That produces harmful chemicals, and no deep frying it because that's just bad for you. Okay. And lastly, vitamins A, D, E, and K are all fat soluble. So you need to have fat around. If I'm making a salad, a great healthy fat is olive oil. And when I'm cooking, a great fat that I use is coconut oil. So there's always fat in the meals that I'm cooking or eating raw, like my salads, so that you can properly absorb those vitamins right there. Really important, you will not absorb it if that fat is not present. Also healthy animal fats, butter, seeds and nuts, those things with every meal, really important. All right, let's get into the fruit. All right, fruits are great because they've got the antioxidants, they've got the phytonutrients, the minerals, the vitamins, all that good stuff, but don't eat too much because they're high in sugar. And sugar spikes your blood sugar, spikes your insulin, and as we'll get into next week, if you're trying to lose weight, you can't have these massive spikes in insulin that will prevent you from being able to burn body fat. we'll get into more of that next week, but just know that you don't want these big spikes in insulin. So you have to moderate the amount of fruit that you're eating. And the way I do that is I tell myself I have to earn fruit. So if I worked out just like I worked out earlier today, hey, I can have some fruit. And some of the best fruit around are berries. They're very high in antioxidants. And what's kind of unique about most of these berries is they're not super sweet. They're a little on the tart side. So like blueberries, raspberries are some of my favorite. And they're moderate to low glycemic index, glycemic loads. They don't have those really big spikes in insulin when you consume them. All right, let's go over the most popular fruits consumed by Americans. Number 1, orange juice. It is bad. This is really bad, guys. Number 2, the banana. And number 3, apple juice. But orange juice, you know, I used to love my glass of orange juice in the morning with my cereal. That is so bad for you. The amount of orange juice, and I used to have a juicer, so I know this. The amount of oranges to create a glass of orange juice is about 2 to 3, depending on the glass size and the size of the oranges. So you're getting all the sugar content of 2 to 3 oranges with 0 of the fiber. And what fiber does is it slows the intake of those carbs into your bloodstream. When you slow that intake, it creates a lower response of insulin from your body. And you want that, especially if you're trying to lose weight, once again. And orange juice has the same sugar content as Coca-Cola. So there you have it. So you want to stay away from drinking fruits. There we go. You want to stay away from drinking fruit. Also, the banana is super high in sugar. It's also very starchy, so it causes, again, that massive spike in insulin. Apple juice, same thing's wrong with that. Now, fructose with fiber is not a problem. So that's what eating a fruit is. Your body can handle it because it processes the sugar more slowly. When you eat a fruit, it's very different than drinking the sugar from that fruit. Your body has this satiety mechanism, the mechanism that tells you, all right, I'm satisfied with what I've eaten. When you eat things, those mechanisms are triggered. When you drink things, it doesn't work the same way. So that's why you can drink the sugar content of 3 to 6 oranges, but if you were to sit there and eat all of them, your jaw would get tired and your body would, and your mind would tell you, or would turn off that switch of hunger eventually. So do not drink your calories. Do not do that. So that means fructose without fiber is actually really harmful to you. And things like high fructose corn syrup have been shown, here's a study, 2 sodas a day for their participants for 6 months. And what they measured was an increase in liver fat, in muscle fats, triglycerides, and visceral or belly fat. So these are all the hallmarks of fatty liver disease, obesity, metabolic syndrome, and diabetes, all these terrible issues that we're dealing with as an epidemic in the United States. It's essentially because of these fruit juices and sodas, which have high fructose content and 0 fiber to help us process it. All right, and then here's the last one. Frozen berries often have more nutrients than fresh. I was unaware of that. So also, these frozen berries tend to be a lot cheaper. So I've kind of stocked up on wild organic blueberries, and I haven't done the raspberries and blackberries, but those would be great too. They're a little bit cheaper, and that's awesome. And the reason for that is they're often picked ripe and frozen right away and preserved in that form until they arrive, in your freezer and you use them for whatever. Whereas berries that you find in the supermarket, they are often picked early, transported vast distances, and by the time they ripen, they just don't have the nutrients as if they were picked ripe off the vine itself. A note on that one, like what do you do with frozen berries? Well, most people put them in smoothies, but smoothies, it's kind of like drinking your calories again. You kind of want to stay away from that. It does break down the fiber and the cellulose structures that slow the intake of those sugars into your bloodstream. So you don't want to overdo it on the smoothies. I know I used to have one every morning. And if you do that, well, first of all, you want to try and back that off a little bit. But if you're doing that, the way I approached it is you don't want to make them too sweet. If it's too sweet, too enjoyable, then there's too much sugar and it's spiking your blood sugar again and insulin. So put a lot of veggies in there with the berries, and I try to ride that edge of barely palatable with sweetness and that astringent taste of the veggies, and that's a good way to approach the smoothies. All right, guys, that is it for fruits and veggies. Let me know if you have any further questions about that down in the comments below, and take a look at the Dirty Dozen Clean 15 list if you are going to figure out which veggies and fruits you want to purchase conventionally and which you want to purchase organic. For me, the way I do it is everything's organic except for avocados. I will make an exception for those because they're pretty well protected from the pesticides. All right, guys, I'm gonna keep these videos just pure information. There's not gonna be a whole lot of flair to them because I wanna make sure I give you guys all the information. There's a lot to go over this week. Let me know if you have any questions below. I'll see you guys in the next video. Aloha.